man. I'll do what I do.
Let's go where the law takes us, to the parties that are responsible. And in the case of the transatlantic slave trade, let's stop pretending that this was just a European crime, because it wasn't. Now, let me break this down. There were multiple defendants involved in this global enterprise, and it included European nations: Portugal, Spain, Britain, France, Netherlands, Denmark, Sweden. There were a lot of international corporations involved in it: the Royal African Company of the UK, the Dutch West India Company, the Portuguese, they call it the Companhia General Gratia para Marhawa. I can't say the word, but they were involved. Lloyd's of London, still around. It's a marine insurance company. They insured the slave ships. Barclays Bank, right? They had financial ties to slavery profits. Deutsche Bank, JP Morgan Chase, they all benefited from slavery and the related commerce. And critically, you had African kingdoms and states that were involved. The kingdom of Dahomey, which is modern day Benin, the Ashanti Empire, which is modern day Ghana, the Oyo Empire, which is Nigeria, the Congo Kingdom, which is Angola, Congo, the kingdom of Loango, which is the Congo coast. And these African kingdoms weren't just innocent bystanders. They weren't, look, they weren't kidnapped, okay? They were active participants. They profited by selling their neighbors to European traders. So here's the logic. If we're serious about restorative justice, then we start at the root of the problem. Because if there are no sellers, family, there could have been no buyers. And see, that's not a theory. That's called causation. And in the law, causation is everything. Now look, if those African nations feel that they were manipulated or used by Europeans, that's fine. They can file what is called a cross claim. They can file third-party claims. They can file contribution claims against those European banks and shipping companies, whoever they believe shares the fault. That's their business. But see, my duty as a legal advocate for foundational Black Americans is not to protect the feelings or the geopolitical image of Africa. It's to make my clients, in this case, my people, whole. Just like any civil case, if a drunk driver hits your car and it turns out the car manufacturer made faulty brakes, the drunk driver can sue the manufacturer later. But first, we sue the one closest to the act. And in this case, African nations are the source of the sale. They put human beings on the block. They took the payments. They helped destroy millions of lives, including the lives of their own cousins, brothers, and neighbors. So don't tell me we want justice if you're not ready to go all the way back to the beginning. Reparations can't be about emotion, family. It must be about responsibility. And legal responsibility starts at the origin of the injury. My job is simple: follow the facts, follow the law, and make the foundational Black Americans whole again. No apologies, no exceptions. See, we're having a real conversation today. See, a lot of us foundational Black Americans have spent years romanticizing Africa. Some of y'all had little African medallions on. Some of y'all still refer to Africa as the motherland, the homeland. We look at the continent like it's some kind of ancestral utopia. We adopt African names and wear kente cloth and speak about the motherland with mythical reverence. Now, I know some people are clutching your chest right now. They'll say, oh, but Dennis, slavery in Africa was different. They'll say they didn't know what was happening in America. And the worst one, you can't blame modern African countries because they didn't even exist back then. Well, let's deal with that step by step. So the transatlantic slave trade lasted nearly 500 years. But the sub-Saharan slave trade, where they were taking Africans across the Sahara Desert by Arab traders, that lasted 1,600 years before that. It was 1,600 years it was around. So you mean to tell me, a thinking man, that for over a millennium and a half of selling their own people, these African elites didn't know what they were doing? Let me educate you. There were African slaves who freed themselves, rose to power, and then turned right back around and sold others into slavery. That's not ignorance, that's strategy. That's full participation. These weren't illiterate tribesmen being manipulated by the white man. We're talking about kings and generals and merchants, people like King Gizo of Dahomey, who made his kingdom's economy dependent on slave raiding and warfare. What about King Alfonso I of the Congo, who corresponded in fluent Portuguese with the king of Portugal, begging for more priests and guns while still participating in the slave trade? What about the Ashanti rulers who traded enslaved people for muskets, brandy, and textiles and operated with the full awareness of the Atlantic system? Some of these men had Portuguese last names. I'm talking about the kings. They dressed in European fashion, and they sent their children to be educated in Catholic schools in Lisbon. They knew exactly what they were doing in the so-called New World. They weren't in the dark. They weren't in a room at the table. They weren't swinging through the trees. They were educated men. They were profiting. Shout out to Gloria Sabry. So when modern day apologists say, well, Ghana didn't exist in 1750, they're right, but that doesn't matter. And let me explain why. As an attorney who drafted this law, I'm gonna tell you how the Successor State Liability Act works. In the foundational Black American Slave Trade Restorative Justice Act of 2025 that I sent to Trump and the 2 Texas senators and all these other intelligent people, and the proposed order, I make it very clear. Modern nations can be held accountable as successor states to the historical kingdoms that committed human rights violations. The law uses language and precedent similar to what's found in cases of Nazi-era restitution or JASTA lawsuits against Saudi Arabia. And it defines an African sovereign as any modern nation that succeeded or inherited the territory, government, wealth, or legacy of a historical regime materially involved in the post-1808 transatlantic slave trade. These successor states benefited economically, politically, and socially from the wealth accumulated through the trafficking of our Black bodies. And many continue to preserve national heritage and monuments and traditions rooted in those same empires. It doesn't matter that Benin wasn't called Dahomey anymore. Just like Germany was held accountable for the Nazis, or Turkey for the Ottoman Empire, successor liability applies. This is a standard legal doctrine in international law. Hell, it's a standard legal doctrine in corporations law. And when you look at Section 6 of the proposed legislation, I explicitly waive sovereign immunity for those nations in cases involving violations of human rights, like slavery and forced labor. So for those saying Ghana didn't exist, understand, the kingdom of Ashanti did. The kingdom of Dahomey did.
What's up? Welcome to the broadcast. This is Uncle D.
People wash their ass in the tub, Kamala Harris.
You were tuned in to Uncle D. Black man talk, pull up, homie, take a seat. Don't be a shadow watcher every day. You learn something, then you earn something. Let them know and drop some money in the plate. It's getting cold, ladies, talking ratchet. There's a king here, grab your coat, zip your jacket. Keep quiet for a second, close your jaw. Attorney Spurling, this ain't pearly, know the law. Talking Constitution, pushing pins when he shooting, give him that. Masculinity, just for the record, sprinkle that. You can keep your cat, gotta cut it. Only cat he rubbing, gotta love it. I call it Molly Buddy. Gotta vote your interest, voting earns. Presidential, this is for the money that I earn. When you gon' learn, my people, that evil mixed with evil. No matter what you're doing, baby, this ain't equal. Sometimes when you're special, you get hated. The test is for the best, you're damn right, my people made it. Uncle D, Blizzard King, you been served, gotta notice. Now black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now. Uncle D, you been served, get your notice. Now black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now. Uncle D, you been served, get your notice. Now black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now. Uncle D, you been served, get your notice. Now black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now.
Hey man, I'll do what I do.
Somebody need to whip your ass.
Get up and whip him, Sweets.
Hey, don't be putting the money in my hand all rough.
Take your ass out here. You buy you a Flowbee and cut your own damn hair from now on.